Good morning, friends. Happy Sunday. Happy new week. I hope you are well today. This is West Tennessee Dave. It is 6:33 in the morning. I'm live to you on Twitch, and I'm coming to you later on a VOD on YouTube or Twitch, wherever you may be. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you all. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks for being here today. Hello there, Neil Highbird. Hi, welcome. Welcome to the journey. Hope you are well today. Okay, what are we going to get into today? Let's do a quick overview. We are actually starting a new book in the Bible today, the book of First Kings. And just because it's a new book doesn't really mean that the storyline has changed much. It just picks up where the last storyline left off. We're really in the story of the kings. This started way back in 1 Samuel, and then 2 Samuel was pretty much all about David. And the 1 Samuel was about Samuel and then Saul. So this will demarcate the line of where David's story comes to completion very shortly. We'll see that today. And we're going to get a new king and then new kings as we move on in the storyline. So just a little overview of where we're going. And there will be another book. Obviously, this is First King, so there'll be a Second King. So the kingdom of Israel and their kings is the big storyline going forth from here and what that looks like. Okay, so King David is our current king. We've seen a lot of his conquests, and we're about to see him pass away to history and what will happen next with the kingdom. So let's get some water and get ready to lock in. King David was now very old, and no matter how many blankets covered him, he could not keep warm. So his advisors told him, "Let us find a young virgin to wait on you and look after you, my lord. She will lie in your arms and keep you warm." So they searched throughout the land of Israel for a beautiful girl, and they found Abishag from Shunem, and brought her to the king. The girl was very beautiful, and she looked after the king and took care of him. But the king had no sexual relations with her. About that time, David's son Adonijah, whose mother was Haggith, began boasting, "I will make myself king." So he provided himself with chariots and charioteers and recruited 50 men to run in front of him. Now his father, King David, had never disciplined him at any time, even by asking, "Why are you doing that?" Adonijah had been born next after Absalom, and he was very handsome. Adonijah took Joab, son of Zeruiah, and Abiathar the priest into his confidence, and they agreed to help him become king. But Zadok the priest, Benaiah son of Jehoiada, Nathan the prophet, Shimei, Rei, and David's personal bodyguard refused to support Adonijah. Adonijah went to the stone of Zoeleth near the spring of En-Rogel, where he sacrificed sheep, cattle, and fattened calves. He invited all his brothers, the other sons of King David, and all the royal officials of Judah. But he did not invite Nathan the prophet, or Benaiah, or the king's bodyguard, or his brother Solomon. Then Nathan went to Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, and asked her, "Haven't you heard that Haggith's son Adonijah has made himself king, and our Lord David doesn't even know about it? If you want to save your own life and the life of your son Solomon, follow my advice. Go at once to King David and say to him, 'My lord the king, didn't you make a vow and say to me, your son Solomon will surely be the next king and will sit on my throne? Why then has Adonijah become king? And while you are still talking with him, I will come and confirm everything you have said.'" So Bathsheba went into the king's bedroom. He was very old now, and Abishag was taking care of him. Bathsheba bowed down before the king. "What can I do for you?" he asked her. She replied, "My lord, you made a vow before the Lord your God when you said to me, 'Your son Solomon will surely be the next king and will sit on my throne.' But instead, Adonijah has made himself king, and my lord the king does not even know about it. He has sacrificed many cattle, fattened calves, and sheep, and he has invited all the king's sons to attend the celebration. He also invited Abiathar the priest and Joab, the commander of the army, but he did not invite your servant Solomon. And now, my lord the king, all Israel is waiting for you to announce who will become king after you. If you do not act, my son Solomon and I will be treated as criminals as soon as my lord the king has died." While she was still speaking with the king, Nathan the prophet arrived. The king's officials told him, "Nathan the prophet is here to see you." Nathan went in and bowed before the king with his face to the ground. Nathan asked, "My lord the king, have you decided that Adonijah will be the next king and that he will sit on your throne? Today he has sacrificed many cattle, fattened calves, and sheep, and he has invited all the king's sons to attend the celebration. He also invited the commanders of the army and Abiathar the priest. They are feasting and drinking with him and shouting, 'Long live King Adonijah!' But he did not invite me or Zadok the priest or Benaiah or your servant Solomon. Has my lord the king really done this without letting any of his officials know who should be the next king?" King David responded, "Call Bathsheba." So she came back in and stood before the king. And the king repeated his vow, "As surely as the Lord lives, who has rescued me from every danger, your son Solomon will be the next king and will sit on my throne this very day, just as I vowed to you before the Lord, the God of Israel." Then Bathsheba bowed down with her face to the ground before the king and exclaimed, "May my lord King David live forever." Then King David ordered, "Call Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah son of Jehoiada." When they came into the king's presence, the king said to them, "Take Solomon and my officials, go down to Gihon Spring. Solomon is to ride my own mule there. There, Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet are to anoint him king over Israel. Blow the ram's horn and shout, 'Long live King Solomon!' Then escort him back here, and he will sit on my throne. He will succeed me as king, for I have appointed him to rule over Israel and Judah." "Amen," Benaiah son of Jehoiada replied. "May the Lord, the God of my lord the king, decree that it happen. And may the Lord be with Solomon as he has been with you, my lord the king, and may he make Solomon's reign even greater than yours." So Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, Benaiah son of Jehoiada, and the king's bodyguard took Solomon down to Gihon Spring, with Solomon riding on King David's own mule. There Zadok the priest took the flask of olive oil from the sacred tent and anointed Solomon with the oil. Then they sounded the ram's horn, and all the people shouted, "Long live King Solomon!" And all the people followed Solomon into Jerusalem, playing flutes and shouting for joy. The celebration was so joyous and noisy that the earth shook with the sound. Adonijah and his guests heard the celebrating and shouting just as they were finishing their banquet. When Joab heard the sound of the ram's horn, he asked, "What's going on? Why is the city in such an uproar?" And while he was still speaking with Jonathan, son of Abiathar, the priest arrived. "Come in," Adonijah said to him, "for you are a good man. You must have good news." "Not at all," Jonathan replied. "Our lord, King David, has just declared Solomon king." The king sent him down to Gihon Spring with Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah son of Jehoiada, protected by the king's bodyguard. They had him ride on the king's own mule, and Zadok and Nathan have anointed him at Gihon Springs as the new king. They have just returned, and the whole city is celebrating and rejoicing. That's what all the noise is about. What's more, Solomon is now sitting on the royal throne as king, and all the royal officials have gone to King David and congratulated him, saying, "May your God make Solomon's fame even greater than your own, and may Solomon's reign be even greater than yours." Then the king bowed his head in worship as he laid in his bed. And he said, "Praise the Lord, the God of Israel, who today has chosen a successor to sit on my throne while I am still alive to see it." Then all of Adonijah's guests jumped up in panic from the banquet table and quickly scattered. Adonijah was afraid of Solomon, so he rushed to the sacred tent and grabbed onto the horns of the altar. Word soon reached Solomon that Adonijah had seized the horns of the altar in fear, and that he was pleading, "Let King Solomon swear today that he will not kill me." Solomon replied, "If he proves himself to be loyal, not a hair on his head will be touched. But if he makes trouble, he will die." So King Solomon summoned Adonijah, and they brought him down from the altar. He came and bowed respectfully before the king, Solomon, who dismissed him, saying, "Go on home." As the time of King David's death approached, he gave this charge to his son Solomon: "I am going where everyone on earth must someday go. Take courage and be a man. Observe the requirements of the Lord your God and follow all his ways. Keep the decrees, commands, regulations, and laws written in the law of Moses, so that you will be successful in all you do and wherever you go. If you do this, then the Lord will keep the promise he made to me. He told me, if your descendants live as they should and follow me faithfully with all their heart and soul, one of them will always sit on the throne of Israel. And there is something else. You know what Joab, son of Zeruiah, did to me when he murdered my 2 army commanders, Abner, son of Ner, and Amasa, son of Jether. He pretended that it was an act of war, but it was done in a time of peace, staining his belt and sandals with innocent blood. Do with him what you think best, but don't let him grow old and go to his grave in peace. Be kind to the sons of Barzillai of Gilead. Make them permanent guests at your table, for they took care of me when I fled from your brother Absalom. And remember Shimei, son of Gera, the man from Baharaim in Benjamin. He cursed me with a terrible curse as I was fleeing to Mahanaim. When he came down to meet me at the Jordan River, I swore by the Lord that I would not kill him. But that oath does not make him innocent. You are a wise man, and you will know how to arrange a bloody death for him." Then David died and was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. David had reigned over Israel for 40 years, 7 of them in Hebron and 33 in Jerusalem. Solomon became king and sat on the throne of David, his father, and his kingdom was firmly established. One day, Adonijah, whose mother was Haggith, came to see Bathsheba, Solomon's mother. "Have you come with peaceful intentions?" she asked him. "Yes," he said. "I come in peace. In fact, I have a favor to ask of you." "What is it?" she asked. He replied, "As you know, the kingdom was rightfully mine. All Israel wanted me to be the next king, but the tables were turned and the kingdom went to my brother instead. For that is the way the Lord wanted it. So now I have just one favor to ask of you. Please don't turn me down." "What is it?" she asked. He replied, "Speak to the king, Solomon, on my behalf, for I know he will do anything you request. Ask him to let me marry Abishag, the girl from Shunem." "All right," Bathsheba replied, "I will speak to the king for you." So Bathsheba went to King Solomon to speak on Adonijah's behalf. The king rose from his throne to meet her, and he bowed down before her. When he sat down on his throne again, the king ordered that a throne be brought for his mother, and she sat at his right hand. "I have one small request to make of you," she said. "I hope you won't turn me down." "What is it, my mother?" he asked. "You know I won't refuse you." "Then let your brother Adonijah marry Abishag, the girl from Shunem," she replied. "How can you possibly ask to give Abishag to Adonijah?" King Solomon demanded. "You might as well ask me to give him the kingdom. You know that he is my older brother, and that he has Abiathar the priest and Joab, son of Zeruiah, on his side." Then King Solomon made a vow before the Lord, "May God strike me and even kill me if Adonijah has not sealed his fate with this request. The Lord has confirmed me and placed me on the throne of my father David. He established my dynasty and as he had promised. So as surely as the Lord lives, Adonijah will die this very day." So King Solomon ordered Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, to execute him, and Adonijah was put to death. Then the king said to Abiathar the priest, "Go back to your home in Anathoth. You deserve to die, but I will not kill you now, because you carried the ark of the sovereign Lord for David, my father, and you shared all his hardships." So Solomon disposed Abiathar from his position as priest of the Lord, thereby fulfilling the prophecy the Lord had given at Shiloh concerning the descendants of Eli. Joab had not joined Absalom's earlier rebellion, but he had joined Adonijah's rebellion. So when Joab heard about Adonijah's death, he ran to the sacred tent of the Lord and grabbed onto the horns of the altar. When this was reported to King Solomon, he sent Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, to execute him. Benaiah went to the sacred tent of the Lord and said to Joab, "The king orders you to come out." But Joab answered, "No, I will die here." So Benaiah returned to the king and told him what Joab had said. "Do as he said," the king replied. "Kill him there beside the altar and bury him. This will remove the guilt of Joab's senseless murders from me and from my father's family. The Lord will repay him for the murders of the two men who were more righteous and better than he. For my father knew nothing about the deaths of Abner, son of Ner, commander of the army of Israel, and of Amasa, son of Jether, commander of the army of Judah. May their blood be on Joab and his descendants forever, and may the Lord grant peace forever to David, his descendants, his dynasty, and his throne." So Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, returned to the sacred tent and killed Joab, and he was buried at his home in the wilderness. Then the king appointed Benaiah to command the army in place of Joab, and he installed Zadok the priest to take the place of Abiathar. The king then sent for Shimei and told him, "Build a house here in Jerusalem and live there, but don't step outside the city to go anywhere else. On the day that you so much as cross the Kidron Valley, you will surely die, and your blood will be on your head." Shimei replied, "Your sentence is fair. I will do whatever my lord the king commands." So Shimei lived in Jerusalem for a long time. But 3 years later, 2 of Shimei's slaves ran away to King Achish, son of Maacah of Gath. When Shimei learned where they were, he saddled his donkey and went to Gath to search for them. When he found them, he brought them back to Jerusalem. Solomon heard that Shimei had left Jerusalem and he had gone to Gath and returned. So the king sent for Shimei and demanded, "Didn't I make you swear by the Lord and warn you not to go anywhere else or you would surely die?" And you replied, This sentence is fair. I will do as you say. Then why haven't you kept your oath to the Lord and obeyed my command?" The king also said to Shimei, "You certainly remember all the wicked things you did to my father David. May the Lord now bring that evil on your own head. But may I, King Solomon, receive the Lord's blessing, and may one of David's descendants always sit on this throne in the presence of the Lord." Then at the king's command, Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, took Shimei outside and killed him. So the kingdom was now firmly in Solomon's grip. Solomon made an alliance with Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and married one of his daughters. He brought her to live in the city of David until he could finish building his palace and the temple of the Lord, and the wall around the city. At that time, the people of Israel sacrificed their offerings at local places of worship, for a temple honoring the name of the Lord had not yet been built. Solomon loved the Lord and followed all the decrees of his father David, except that Solomon too offered sacrifices and burnt incense at the local places of worship. The most important of these places of worship was at Gibeon, so the king went there and sacrificed 1,000 burnt offerings. That night the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream, and God said, "What do you want? Ask, and I will give it to you." Solomon replied, "You showed great and faithful love to your servant, my father, David, because he was honest and true and faithful to you. And you have continued to show this great and faithful love to him today by giving him a son to sit on his throne. Now, O Lord my God, you have made me king instead of my father David, but I am like a little child who doesn't know his way around. And here I am in the midst of your own chosen people, a nation so great and numerous they cannot be counted. Give me an understanding heart so that I can govern your people well and know the difference between right and wrong. For who by himself is able to govern this great people of yours?" The Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for wisdom. So God replied, "Because you have asked for wisdom in governing my people with justice and have not asked for a long life or wealth or the death of your enemies, I will give you what you asked for. I will give you a wise and understanding heart, such as no one else has had or ever will have. And I will also give you what you did not ask for, riches and fame. No other king in all the world will be compared to you for the rest of your life. And if you follow me and obey my decrees and my commands as your father David did, I will give you long life." Then Solomon woke up and realized it had been a dream. He returned to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the Lord's covenant, where he sacrificed burnt offerings and peace offerings. Then he invited all his officials to a great banquet. Sometime later, two prostitutes came to the king to have an argument settled. "Please, my lord," one of them began, "this woman and I live in the same house. I gave birth to a baby while she was with me in the house. 3 days later, this woman also had a baby. We were alone there. We were alone. There were only two of us in the house. But her baby died during the night when she rolled over on it. Then she got up in the night and took my son from beside me while I was sleeping. She laid her dead child in my arms and took mine to sleep beside her. And in the morning, when I tried to nurse my son, he was dead. But when I looked more closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't my son at all." Then the other woman interrupted, "It certainly was your son, and the living child is mine." "No," the first woman said, "the living child is mine, and the dead one is yours." And so they argued back and forth before the king. Then the king said, "Let's get the facts straight. Both of you claim the living child is yours, and each says the dead one belongs to the other. All right, bring me a sword." So a sword was brought to the king. Then he said, "Cut the living child in two, and give one half to one woman and the other half to the other." Then the woman who was the real mother of the living child, and whom loved him very much, cried out, "Oh no, my lord, give her the child, please do not kill him." But the other woman said, "All right, he will be neither yours nor mine, divide him between us." Then the king said, "Do not kill the child, but give him to the woman who wants him to live, for she is his mother." When all of Israel heard the king's decision, the people were in awe of the king, for they saw the wisdom God had given him for rendering justice. King Solomon now ruled over all Israel, and these were his high officials. Azariah, son of Zadok, was the priest. Eliareph was, and Ahijah, the sons of Shisha, were the court secretaries. Jehoshaphat, son of Elihud, was the royal historian. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was the commander of the army. Zadok and Abiathar were the priests. Azariah, son of Nathan, was in charge of the district governors. Zabud, son of Nathan, a priest, was a trusted advisor to the king. Asher was manager of the palace property. Adoniram, son of Abda, was in charge of forced labor. Solomon also had 12 district governors who were all over Israel. They were responsible for providing food for the king's household. Each of them arranged provisions for 1 month of the year. These are the names of the 12 governors: Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben-Decker in Makaz of Shalabin, Beth-Shemesh and Elon Beth-Hanan, Ben-Hesed in Arubath, including Succoth and all the land of Hepher, Ben-Abanidan in all of Naphoth Dor. He was married to Taphvoth, one of Solomon's daughters. Benat, son of Ahilud, in Tanaka and Megiddo, all of Bethshan, near Zarathan, below Jezreel, and all the territory from Bethshan to Abel Mahola and over to Jokmeam. Ben-Geber in Ramoth Gilead, including the towns of Jair, named for Jair of the tribe of Manasseh, in Gilead, in the Argob region of Bashan, including 60 large fortified towns with bronze bars on their gates. Ahinadab, son of Edo, in Mahanaim. Ahimaaz in Naphtali. He was married to Basemath, another of Solomon's daughters. Benah, son of Hushai, in Asher and in Eloth. Jehoshaphat, son of Paruah, in Issachar. Shimei, son of Allah, in Benjamin. Geber, son of Uri, in the land of Gilead, including the territories of King Sihon of the Amorites and King Og of Bashan. There was also one governor over the land of Judah. Yes, these are some hard things to pronounce. Thank you. Hi, Wicked, by the way. The people of Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand of the seashore. They were very contented with plenty to eat and drink. Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates River in the north to the land of the Philistines and the border of Egypt in the south. The conquered peoples of the land sent tribute money to Solomon and continued to serve him throughout his lifetime. The daily food requirements for Solomon's palace were 150 bushels of choice flour and 300 bushels of meal. Also, 10 oxen from the fattening pens, 20 pasture-fed cattle, 100 sheep or goats, as well as deer, gazelles, roe deer, and choice poultry. Solomon's dominion extended over all the kingdoms west of the Euphrates River from Tifsha to Gaza, and there was peace on all his borders. During the lifetime of Solomon, all of Judah and Israel lived in peace and safety, and from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south, each family had its own home and garden. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for his chariot horses, and he had 12,000 horses. The district governors faithfully provided food for King Solomon and his court. Each made sure nothing was lacking during the month assigned to him. They also brought the necessary barley and straw for the royal horses in the stables. God gave Solomon very great wisdom and understanding, and knowledge as vast as the sands of the seashore. In fact, his wisdom exceeded that of all the wise men of the East and the wise men of Egypt. He was wiser than anyone else, including Ethan the Ezrahite and the sons of Mahal, Heman, Calcol, and Darda. His fame spread throughout all the surrounding nations. He composed some 3,000 proverbs and wrote 1,005 songs. He could speak with authority about all kinds of plants, from the great cedars of Lebanon to the tiny hyssop that grows from the cracks in the wall. He could also speak about the animals, birds, small creatures, and the fish. And kings from every nation sent their ambassadors to listen to the wisdom of Solomon. King Hiram of Tyre had always been a loyal friend to David. When Hiram learned that David's son Solomon was the new king of Israel, he sent ambassadors to congratulate him. Then Solomon sent this message back to Hiram: "You know that my father David was not able to build a temple to honor the name of the Lord his God because of the many wars waged against him by the surrounding nations. He could not build until the Lord gave him victory over all his enemies. But now the Lord my God has given me peace on every side. I have no enemies, and all is well. So I am planning to build a temple to honor the name of the Lord my God, just as he instructed my father David. For the Lord told him, 'Your son, whom I will place on your throne, will build the temple to honor my name. Therefore, please command the cedars from Lebanon be cut for me. Let my men work alongside yours, and I will pay your men whatever wages you ask. As you know, there is no one among us who can cut timber like you Sidonians.'" When Hiram received Solomon's message, he was very pleased and said, "Praise the Lord today for giving David a wise son to be king of the great nation of Israel." Then he sent this reply to Solomon: "I have received your message, and I will supply all the cedar and cypress timber you need. My servants will bring the logs from the Lebanon mountains to the Mediterranean Sea, and make them into rafts and float them along the coast to whatever place you choose. Then we will break the rafts apart so you can carry the logs away. You can pay me by supplying me with food for my household." So Hiram supplied as much cedar and cypress timber as Solomon desired. In return, Solomon sent him an annual payment of 100,000 bushels of wheat for his household and 110,000 gallons of pure olive oil. So the Lord gave wisdom to Solomon, just as he had promised, and Hiram and Solomon made a formal alliance of peace. Then King Solomon conscripted a labor force of 30,000 men from all of Israel. He sent them to the Lebanon in shifts, 10,000 every month, so that each man would be 1 month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of the labor force. Solomon also had 70,000 common laborers and 80,000 quarry workers in the hill country, and 3,600 foremen to supervise the work. At the king's command, they quarried large blocks of high-quality stone and shaped them to make the foundation of the temple. Men from the city of Gibel helped Solomon's and Hiram's builders prepare the timber and stone for the temple. It was in mid-spring in the month of Ziv, during the 4th year of Solomon's reign, that he began to construct the temple of the Lord. This was 480 years after the people of Israel were rescued from their slavery in the land of Egypt. The temple that King Solomon built for the Lord was 90 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 45 feet high. The entry room at the front of the temple was 30 feet wide, running across the entire width of the temple. It projected outward 15 feet from the front of the temple. Solomon also made narrow recessed windows throughout the temple. He built a complex of rooms against the outer walls of the temple, all the way around the sides and rear of the building. The complex was 3 stories high, the bottom floor being 7.5 feet wide, and the second floor 9 feet wide, and the top floor 10.5 feet wide. The rooms were constructed to the walls of the temple by beams resting on ledges built out of the wall, so the beams were not inserted into the walls themselves. The stones used in the construction of the temple were finished at the quarry, so there was no sound of hammer, axe, or any other iron tool at the building site. The entrance to the bottom floor was on the south side of the temple. There were winding stairs going up to the second floor, and another flight of stairs between the second and third floors. After completing the temple structure, Solomon put in a ceiling made of cedar beams and planks. As already stated, he built a complex of rooms along the sides of the building, attached to the temple walls by cedar timbers. Each story of the complex was 7.5 feet high. Then the Lord gave this message to Solomon: "Concerning this temple you are building, if you keep all my decrees and regulations and obey all my commands, I will fulfill through you the promise I made to your father David. I will live among the Israelites and will never abandon my people Israel." So Solomon finished building the temple. The entire inside, from floor to ceiling, was paneled with wood. He paneled the walls and ceilings with cedar, and he used planks of cypress for the floors. He partitioned off an inner sanctuary, the most holy place, at the far end of the temple. It was 30 feet deep and was paneled with cedar from floor to ceiling. The main room of the temple outside the most holy place was 60 feet long. Cedar paneling completely covered the stone walls throughout the temple, and the paneling was decorated with the carvings of gourds and open flowers. He prepared the inner sanctuary at the far end of the temple, where the Ark of the Lord's covenant would be placed. This inner sanctuary was 30 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 30 feet high. He overlaid the inside with solid gold. He also overlaid the altar made of cedar. Then Solomon overlaid the rest of the temple's interior with solid gold, and he made gold chains to protect the entrance to the most holy place. So he finished overlaying the entire temple with gold, including the altar that belonged to the most holy place. He made 2 cherubim of wild olive wood, each 15 feet tall, and placed them in the inner sanctuary. The wingspan of each of the cherubim was 15 feet, each wing being 7.5 feet long. The 2 cherubim were identical in shape and size. Each was 15 feet tall, and he placed them side by side in the inner sanctuary of the temple. Their outspread wings reached from wall to wall, while their inner wings touched at the center of the room. He overlaid the 2 cherubim with gold. He decorated all the walls of the inner sanctuary and the main rooms with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers. He overlaid the floor in both rooms with gold. For the entrance to the inner sanctuary, he made double doors of wild olive wood with 5-sided doorposts. These double doors were decorated with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers. The doors, including the decorations of the cherubim and palm trees, were overlaid with gold. Then he made 4-sided doorposts of wild olive wood for the entrance to the temple. There were 2 folding doors of cypress wood, and each door was hinged to fold back upon itself. These doors were decorated with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, all overlaid evenly with gold. The walls of the inner courtyard were built so that there was 1 layer of cedar beams between every 3 layers of finished stone. The foundations of the Lord's temple was laid in mid-spring in the month of Ziv, during the 4th year of Solomon's reign. The entire building was completed in every detail by mid-autumn in the month of Bul, during the 11th year of his reign. So it took 7 years to build the temple. Okay, that is where we stop for today. I like that quote from Isaiah 55. Isaiah 55 is one of my favorite chapters. Neil Hybird. So thank you for that. Yeah, may God bless the reading of His Word. His ways are higher than our ways, wicked. Um, anyways, what were we talking about today? Okay, so David passes on, and we have seen this movie, this story play out over and over again. We saw this is, I think, the fourth time somebody has tried to take over the kingdom from David. We saw a big coup from Absalom. He really had the people around him. We saw somebody from Benjamin retry to take the kingdom for Saul's family, and we see Adonijah now try to take over the kingdom as well. But David had promised Solomon would sit on his throne, and had promised Bathsheba that his son would sit, which is Solomon, on the throne. And so David finally anoints Solomon king. We see that happen. We see, a little bit of bloodshed at the beginning because Solomon has to kind of establish the kingdom under his rule and reign, which he does, and then things kind of start going pretty well. And today we see the temple of the Lord is built. So, and we kind of see a little bit of the decorations of it. You get kind of a picture of it. There's a lot of gold in there. There's all these cherubim. Cherubim is a nice word for angels. These are winged creatures that are basically angels. We have a lot of visions and statues, if you will, in the place that are looking like this. We have carvings in the woodwork that also represent these things. This is going to be the revered place of the people of Israel going forward. And it's a beautiful sight, okay? And today, and maybe into the next reading, which, we'll talk about that at the end, is the pinnacle. These are like the pinnacle moment today, and maybe the beginning of the reading that we go forth from here is the pinnacle moment of the kingdom of Israel. They are united. Everything is going well, and they're just in blissful peace right now. King Solomon said it, like, I have no enemies on my side, on any side of me. I've established my kingdom. All the people are coming to me for wisdom because I have all this wisdom that God gave me. They're paying me all this tribute. So much is pouring into Israel right now. Riches and blessings, all this stuff that God basically said, because you asked for wisdom, I'm giving you all this and more, is just pouring into the kingdom. This is going to be the pinnacle moment in the history of Israel. And they are not going to forget it. They're always going to look back longingly at this period and think, man, if it could only be like that time again. Because every kingdom has a pinnacle moment in this earth. And kingdoms come and kingdoms fall. And it's just the way that it happens. So this is that moment under Solomon's reign. David kind of set it up really well. It was doing well, but there was a lot of war. He tried to deal with all the things of war to get it ready for the next king, and he did well in doing that. Um, Solomon is not really going to face war, because everyone just wants to come to him for understanding and wisdom. And so they're not trying to destroy what's happening here. They want to emulate what's happening here, and they're going to try. They're going to try to emulate what's happening in their own lands. So it's a good lesson of like, it's a good moment to just take it in, breathe it in, just this beautiful moment of peace and clarity and hard work to make something wonderful and beautiful. Hi Knox, good to see you. Welcome. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place, and it won't last long though. It just it doesn't last long. Unfortunately, when a kingdom makes its pinnacle, it's really hard to achieve it again. It's really hard to achieve it again. Um, and I mean, I guess we can think about this from our own lives. It's it's hard to like, I mean, I am my mid 40s now. I I don't know what the pinnacle of my own life is, but and I've been saying this in the past, right? We all have bodies, we all have like things. The older we get, the more we see that our body starts breaking down a little bit. It doesn't work as well as it once did. So if you just look at it from your own like human body perspective, there's probably a time in everyone's life, and maybe you're there right now, and that's a great time, where you're at the pinnacle of performance in your body. It works well, everything's doing it. To some extent, a lot of us probably find that in our 20s, maybe like early 30s, and it's just hard to maintain. It is really, really, really hard to maintain it, but we can maintain it for a number of years. Um, but life happens. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on, and um, just like you find this place where you've matured enough in physical body. I'm just talking about physical right now, right? Like from a perspective, like you go through adolescence, you do all these things. It's not like the peak. You're getting growing pains. That's a tough season of life, right? But you come out of that and it's like your body is like ready to go. Like you can eat whatever you want. A lot of times you're doing enough activities. You don't have a ton of responsibilities when you're younger, right? Um, but then you can kind of navigate that for a number of years, a number of decades, like maybe even a couple decades. But then your body's gonna start decaying and things are gonna start breaking down. You're gonna go to the doctor more often. It's the way it happens. And there's this hope that we're gonna get fully restored and better, and like we'll get back to peak form. But it's just not reality. I don't think we're ever gonna get back to peak form again. Um, the things just take longer to recover from. Your body recovered super fast if something went wrong when you were younger. So, wherever it is, like, yes, you can, but it just takes so much more effort than when you were young, right? And so, there's this pinnacle, right? There's this moment in a kingdom's life where everything is going super well. And that's this moment here. Um, and in the same way, we have the same principle. Like, we're going to have these peak moments. And often we're going to look back at those peak moments and say, man, I just wish the kingdom was like that. And you hear this all the time. I mean, I hear it, You hear it in politics, you hear it in church circles, you hear it in culture and morality. If people are complaining about something like, I just wish we could go back to the 50s, or I wish times were better, like, in the 80s, or it was better before cars were around, right? There's these moments where somebody thinks it's a peak time in life for the culture of America, okay? Or there are peak times in your own life where you're like, man, I just wish I had the body I had when I was in 30. Or I wish I had, like, the wisdom and knowledge I had. I wish I had the wisdom and knowledge I had now back when I was 20 or 30 and I could invest my money differently and when I didn't have kids and all this stuff. And so there's always this moment of peakness. It just is. And there's always going to be this moment of wanting it back. Okay? And as Neil said here at the beginning with the Isaiah, like, his ways are higher than ours. Like, there's an ebb and flow to our relationship with God. There's an ebb and flow to our circumstances in life. Like, these are part of it. And yes, there's going to be a peak. That's just the way it is. Like, sometimes you can't just live at the peak of the mountain. You can't go up Mount Everest and stay up there forever. You can't live there. Yeah, it's amazing. You get up there. But you have to come back down. You can't live on the peak forever. There's not enough air up there. Yes, it's a feat of strength. You've climbed it. Congratulations, but it takes more than that. It takes us living through the difficulties. It takes us living through warfare. It takes us living into places that we don't want to necessarily go. That is the journey of our lives. And so let's not just always look back and say, "Oh, that was it." Wicked can say, "Man, the Rattlesnake series in 2026 was my peak of poker." He could. It might be. Is that going to be the thing that, you know, is he just going to look back and say, "Man, I had it best right then. That was it." And is he going to say, "Well, it's never going to be better"? Well, he's going to keep trying. He's going to keep trying. Whether it ever comes around again, I don't know. You know? Whether he tops that, I'm not sure. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to let the peaks and valleys. It's okay to live in the middle places as well. It's okay to want more. I have no idea how the 90-year-old finished in the WSOP event. I don't follow all those things, honestly. I mean, I'm not up on all the different things, but I mean, yeah, like, you can have a great event, a great moment for sure. But this is the pinnacle right here. And so on the pinnacle moment, we see this. We didn't have, like, a ton of crazy stories today, which is great. We don't have a ton of hard issues today in our story, which is fine. But we can just see and just take hold of these pinnacle moments. Yeah, exactly. Take hold of these moments, hold on to them, look longingly at them, but don't let them stifle you from continuing to go forward and doing the hard work. Because, I mean, we heard this. Like, they just built this monster temple in 7 years. It took them 7 years to complete this temple. And this thing is going to be the pinnacle of their civilization for centuries to come. This is going to be the icon that they look to. And we will have those as well. But don't let that be the thing that stops you from doing the right thing. Because what we're going to see is when they keep looking longingly back at this moment, they're going to make mistakes along the way. Because they're looking for something that's in the past and not pressing forward to what's possible going forward. And I think the same can be true about us. If we don't look forward and press forward, we're going to miss out on what God has for us. Your pops had a grand slam under his belt. You were 15 feet from that. Yeah, I don't know how he finished. Is that like John? Is that Jay? What's that guy's name who's really old? Jay. He's like a Frenchman. John JPT or something like that. I know he's very old. He does really well. He plays a lot of like Triton stuff. I don't know if that's the same guy. But maybe it's not. Lots of people play WSOP events, so. Anyways, thanks for being here today, guys. I really appreciate it. It's Sunday, and your peak was hitting a foul ball versus a Hall of Famer. Hey, there you go. A social imposter syndrome. Interesting. You're trying to be someone you're not? Um, so I said this at the beginning. I'll say it again here. Well, I didn't say it at the beginning. Um, Today is Sunday. I am going camping later today with the scouts. We're going camping. I'm going camping for a week. So I will be back home on Saturday. So I'll be gone for for all my scheduled streams until we come back a week from today right here. So the next time you'll see me here is Sunday morning, 6:33 Central Time for the next part of our reading. Until then, guys, have a great week. Have a great time just reminiscing about the peakness of the moment here as we go forth. We don't have a bad taste in our mouth as we leave here for a week. So I will see you. I will see you guys in a week's time frame. So thanks for being here. Thanks for your comments. And yeah, love you guys. See you soon.